What's going on, guys? We're back with the M2 and I'm actually doing a video today on transmissions, and more specifically how much it costs to service a modern BMW transmission. This video just kind of came to me because I realized, well, I owned pretty much all three of the major modern BMW transmissions. I have a manual BMW M2, I had a dual clutch transmission M2, and then I had a BMW M240i with the ZF8 transmission. So I've kind of had all three major transmissions, the automatic, the DCT, the manual, and I've had all of them serviced. Just a basic service, and I figured, you know what, let me do a video comparing how much they cost. Let's get into that. Now, the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to go in order of the cars and transmissions that I've owned. So it's not in most expensive to least expensive, it's just in the order in which I own the cars. So the first car was my M240i from 2017. Now that one has the ZF8 transmission, which is pretty much in just about every automatic BMW at this point, I believe. This was June 15th, 2022. So if you want to adjust for inflation, whatever. Transmission service, so the actual service. And for the ZF8, the way that they did it, and this is not a dealership, this is an independent shop that pretty much specializes in like BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches. So it's a specialty shop, it's an indie shop. They do the fluid and the filter kit. So there's a kit that comes with it, so you don't just drain the oil and then replace it with a new one. There's actually a whole kit to it. So for the service and for all the parts and everything, it came to, after a $130 discount, came to $715. Breaking that down a little bit more, the actual service, $325, the kit, $210, and then the transmission fluid, $315 for 7 quarts at $45 a pop. A bit expensive, but that's what you can expect if you have a ZF8 and you do a service. It's going to be more or less in that range. And like I said, they threw in a little discount for me, so it came to $715, and that is before tax. So this company also changed the way they kind of break everything down. So earlier in like this one, I believe the DCT one, you're going to see it before tax, and then my most recent one, the manual M2, you're going to see it with tax. That is the M240i. Let's move on to my dual clutch transmission M2. All right, and this one, this is a hefty one. So if you guys are thinking about getting a DCT for kind of the long term, this one's for you. The date on this one is May 12th, 2023. And the total cost for the transmission service on the DCT was $1,350 after a $237 discount. Now, let's break that down. So the actual service for labor, $712. The pan, they do actually suggest replacing the pump at the same time, as just like pretty much replace everything in there because it's so expensive to get in there. The pan came to $247. The pump came to $104. There is a specific bolt, came to $5 and change, filter $14 and change, and DCT fluid $427, 7 quarts at $61 a pop. So take that what you will. After a $237 discount, that comes to $1,350. Now let's move on to my current car, which is another M2, but this is the 6-speed manual transmission. This one is a doozy. A transmission service on my M2 on my 6-speed manual comes to a grand total of $204 after tax. So you can see the price is drastically lower if you buy a manual compared to the automatic or the DCT, and they scale pretty intensely. Like one is like $200, $800, $1,500. They scale pretty dramatically. And yes, I know you could save money doing all of these yourself. Love cars, I could care less about doing all the transmission fluid and filter in my car. It's just not for me. But again, let's break down the cost. The actual flush came to $150, and the fluid, which is just one unit, came to $38. And then if you break down like the shop supplies and tax or whatever, it's like an extra 15 bucks. But yeah, $204 total for the manual M2 service. And then the date on the manual was only like 2-3 months ago, so 2024. Now let's get into some kind of my input and 2 cents on this, and really, should you do the services? Honestly, I think you should do the services if you plan on owning your car for the long term. And just in general, if you're a car guy, I would say do the service and keep the car nice and healthy. Obviously, if you have a manual, it's incredibly cheap. Just do it. I don't know what the interval is on a manual transmission to do it. I plan on doing it because it's so cheap, probably every, like, I don't know, 30,000 miles. So I did this one at 60,000 miles, plus or minus a couple hundred. And I'm gonna probably do it at like 90, along with like the water pump and stuff like that. So for $200, you might as well do it. It's really cheap and it's really good preventative maintenance. Just do the fluid. The ZF8 and the DCT, I'm gonna put these kind of together because they're expensive either way. I'm gonna just lump them together. I do believe you should do them. However, I think you should do them if you're following a schedule with when you do them. If you buy the car new and you plan on keeping it a long time, definitely do them. The interval for ZF8, and this is from ZF8, this is not from BMW, the interval for the service is about 50 to 60,000 miles. It's so far between services, I would honestly suggest like put a tiny bit of money aside and just save up for that service and get it done to keep the transmission nice and healthy. Yes, these services are expensive, but you do them once every like 50,000 miles. It's really not that bad. And the manual you could do even sooner than that. And I would honestly suggest cut the time in half, just do it every 30, and just why not? So in general, I would say yes, do the service if your mileage is kind of in the good range to do it. If it's never been done and you have a high mileage car, at that point I would just say whatever and just not do it. I figured I had all 3 main transmissions that you find in modern BMWs. There might be one that I'm missing, but for the most part, these are the ones you're gonna find nowadays. The ZF8, the manual, or the DCT. And now you guys have a bit of an idea of what you can expect to pay for services for all 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick snippet video, and that's gonna be it for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.